This is Learn It from an 80s Song. I am your coach, Patricia Freiberg. Today we have a very special guest. Please welcome Gina Perin. Gina, also known as Gigi, has over 20 years of experience as the top salesperson for a construction company. She also is a certified positive psychology, health and well-being coach. She is the CEO and the founder of Gigi Lifestyle. She is a farm girl and a mom from Pennsylvania, living in Los Angeles. Gina, it is so great to have you here today. I've missed you.
I've missed you too. So good to see your face.
So Gina and I, just for all of the audience out there, Gina and I know each other from the fitness world in California. And she and I connected a little bit during the pandemic and went for some social distance walking outside. And I always enjoyed our conversations. And so it's so great to have you here. And thanks again for being on the show.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me, Patricia.
So this is the part of the show where we have the big reveal as to what 80s song are we going to be talking about today. So without further ado, can I get a drum roll, please? Gina, what song best resonates with the story you're going to tell us today?
Suya by Phil Collins.
Yay! Phil Collins got in the mix. We haven't had that yet. And no, and I love that song. And of course, as you guys know, I have to go down the rabbit hole and go to Wikipedia and start learning about studio. I can't even say it without, singing it. So actually, this song came out in 1985. It hit the Billboard charts at number 1 in 1985. And it's from the album No Jacket Required, which also hit number 1 in 1985. So this Phil Collins album was epic. And I had the tape that I listened to on my Walkman. Love the music. We also had, One More Night on there. Don't You Lose My Number. Mm-hmm. And then so many amazing songs on that album. I could list them. I actually could practically list them all in order. But what's interesting about this song is that Phil Collins, when he was creating the song, he was in front of his drum kit and he improvised studio. So it kind of came out that way, and it was all improvised. And then he said, there's a quote here. It says, so Phil Collins says, so I kind of knew I had to find something else for that word, studio. And, he tried on different things. It didn't work. So he kept it studio. And what this song actually is about is a schoolboy crush on a girl. So it's just a fun, uplifting song. It got a little bit of criticism that it sounded like Prince's song 1999. And, Phil Collins said, listen, I listened to that in my Genesis tour and loved Prince, loved the music. And, certainly, I'm sure Prince influenced all pop dance at that time, right? So that was a little bit of critical analysis of the song. But I mean, what a fun and uplifting song that was. And what a great song choice.
Thank you. Yes, I love that song. I was listening to it yesterday to bring me back to all the memories I have of it. Yes, for sure.
Yes, yes, and thank you for bringing that album in because I actually listened to it today and during my workout, and it was interesting to go down that trip of memory lane. And I know that you have a story that you're going to share with us today that is of delicate nature regarding the song. And if you wouldn't mind, Gina, sharing that story with us today.
Absolutely. Well, my life completely changed on Christmas Day, 2010. Okay. A little backstory to that. Prior to that day, I just, I thought I had the world at my fingertips. Everything was just going along great. I was in the best physical shape of my life. I mean, I've always been an athlete and a bit of a gym rat. And I was just in my top shape. I was engaged to be married. After having gone through a tough divorce 4 years prior to that. Um, Work was great, family was great, everything was going along just great. And that Christmas morning, I'm heading to my fiance's house, and I call my parents. And my dad answers. I said, Dad, I'm gonna stop by my brother's house on the way just to check on him. My brother's name is David. And the reason I was going to check on him is because he didn't show up to Christmas Eve at my parents' house the night before. And that was always a very big event where we're all there, and the kids, grandkids and everything, and he didn't show. We had called him a few times and didn't get an answer. So my dad said, you know what, I was going to do the same thing. I'll meet you over there. So my father and I meet at David's house. We essentially break in because he's not answering, and we can see his car is there. And he had taken his own life.
Mm.
Uh, I it's it's really tough to even talk about it now, and it's been 12 years. And really, what the worst part is, obviously, it was very devastating for me, but to see a parent, because I am a parent, to see a parent find their child gone, it's something that I don't wish on anyone. I'm actually glad my mother wasn't there.
Yeah.
So it's something that, him and I carry a little bit heavier than the rest of the family, but it was devastating. And I have to tell you, from that moment, uh, over the next 4 years, I was very much in fight or flight. Everything had changed. I My fiance and I called off the engagement, lost that relationship within 6 months of his death. Um, I I was overeating. I was over drinking. I was crying a lot at night, having to stay strong during the day
Mm-hmm.
because the roles shift a little bit. They
Mm-hmm.
shift from parent to child when something like that tragic happens. My parents were different people than they were that, prior to that day.
Yeah.
So a lot of like helping them and really putting myself last.
Yes.
Uh, and that went on for quite a time. Like I said, 4 years. And in 2014, I said to myself, if I don't make a change, I'm 37. I was young and still young and had lost my way through
Yeah.
through all of that.
Yeah.
So I took a leap of faith and I moved to LA. And it was a
Wow.
very, very big transition from a farm girl in Pennsylvania. Uh, Now, Patricia, I didn't put a pin on a map and say, hey, I'm just moving here
Yeah.
for no reason, right? I mean, I had been visiting Los Angeles for about 8 years prior to me moving there, because dear friends of mine had transferred out here.
Mm.
So it wasn't just a stab in the air.
Yes.
um, but it was a big change. It was, I will absolutely admit that the first year that I was here, I woke up a few times in the middle of the night and was like, what did I do?
Mm-hmm.
Because I left everything that I ever knew,
Yes. Yes.
but because of David's death, there was a lot of sadness
Mm-hmm.
around that area. So I felt
Mm-hmm.
like I needed to get out of it. My
Yeah.
daughter needed to get out of that, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, but
Mm-hmm.
it took a few years of adjustment,
Mm-hmm.
and I finally walked back into a local gym and said, I got to get me back. I have to find me again, and
Yeah.
to figure out what happened to that girl from December
Right.
24th, 2010,
Right.
Um,
Right.
and like most things, I don't want anyone to think that it was just overnight I was healed and everything was just all great, some magic wand or magic moment, or some specific day
Yeah.
changed everything for me, because it didn't.
Yeah.
And I get messages like that sometimes, like, how's your life just so perfect? It's not. And it took a very long time to get back to where I am now. But anyway, I started hitting the gym. I started building my community again. I found a great mentor who was a coach at the time and had taken me under their wing. And I started coaching, started teaching cycling and running, and I opened up one of the bigger gyms in our area, and then that led me to the next big adventure where I met you, Patricia.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, I realized that I needed to. So once I physically started to get stronger, I realized I hadn't really come to terms with what had happened. I was
Yeah.
taking care of everyone else,
Mm-hmm.
which is what we do as women, right?
Right.
We're supposed
Right.
to be able to handle everything.
Yeah.
Um, Keep that career going, do great in my sales job, keep myself physically fit, run the house, raise my daughter, do all these things, and you become last. And
Yeah.
reaching out for help is sometimes a little hard for women to do. I know it was hard for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know it was hard for me, but when I reached out and said, I need to talk to somebody about what happened there,
Mm-hmm.
and come to terms with it,
Yeah.
because I had a lot of guilt. My life was just so great at that time, or so I thought, right? And he was struggling, and I didn't even take that time to recognize that.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I didn't call him enough. I didn't do enough. So
Right.
there was a lot of guilt around that I had to come to terms with and forgive myself.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and when I finally did that, it changed the way that I was looking at things. It led me to coaching other people, to helping them.
Yeah.
Because we all have a story.
Yes. Yes.
We
Yes.
all have a stories, and they're different, but we have a story that changed.
100%. Very much so.
Yeah.
Well, um, I just want to say, I'm so incredibly sorry for your loss. And, and I didn't know this about your life before you moved, to California, when I met you, I had no idea. And I just want to tell you how incredibly sorry I am that this happened. And I also want to say that, thank you for your vulnerability, to bringing this to the audience. It is indelicate of nature, and simultaneously to this, you bring up so many interesting areas. Obviously, emotional well-being, mental health. You also bring up, having to take care of your loved ones, during this time that you're grieving. So, like you had said, the roles shifting, and you were raising your daughter at the same time, and single mom, and at that time, and then also, in your business, working in your business, with your career, and I'm just thinking about how much strength you have, to have done all of that, and during that time. And I know you said, like, for 4 or 5 years, it's like you were putting yourself last. You were, like the shoemaker with the hole in the shoes,
Yeah.
um, and everybody else's needs came first, and not yours. And it's interesting that, so many people end up in that situation, in the situation of taking care of others. Not in your situation specifically. Yours came with a lot of grief and loss of your relationship, and the process of that, and also loss of community as you moved into California. But looking at so many people out there who um, don't put their needs in the mix at all. And how wonderful it is to have you as a coach, who has walked that walk of putting our self care last, and then you moving people forward, to help take care of themselves in the process. So, just a little recap. I just want to say thank you for your vulnerability and sharing your story today.
Well, you're welcome. Thank you, Patricia. That was, it's really nice to hear. I would hear, hear stories when I was younger, early 30s, 20s, of tragedy, and people would make something so amazing out of it. And I'm like, how do they do that? Where do they get that strength?
Mm.
And then it happened to me. And it's like, it doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen overnight. It takes a village. It takes a change in mindset. I feel completely different towards David today. I'm nothing but grateful and thankful to him, because something so beautiful, my life went in a completely different direction, which I thought was so bad at the time. But he really led me here.
Mm-hmm.
Had it not happened, I can tell you almost 100%, I never would have moved to LA. My daughter would have never left our community and applied to a university in Southern California, where she is graduating next month, with honors from a top university, where she met her future husband.
Wow.
My future son-in-law, who I love dearly. None of those things. Oh, and on a side note to that, her future husband's name is David as well.
Oh, wow.
So there's a lot of, like,
Wow.
I feel like he's here. He has guided us to where, I wasn't supposed to marry that guy. I would have never met the wonderful person I'm with today. I thought, as a younger person, I just could write the playbook of my life, and it was going to go exactly the way I wanted it to go. Right. And I was humbled very quickly, by life. It's not always my choice, but finding something really beautiful out of it, has forever changed me. Now I can say that now.
Wow. Yes. And I think this might be a good time to bring in how the song resonates.
Yes. I can't even listen to Phil Collins, and especially that song, without laughing now. Okay. But I was not laughing when I was first introduced to this song. So my brother was obsessed with Phil Collins. It was his favorite singer of the time. And I mean, he was like an early teenager. And I have no idea why. I wish I could have asked him today. What was it about Phil Collins that you loved so much? But every morning he played that song every morning over and over again as we were getting ready for school. And me and my sister, turn that off. It would drive me crazy with it. And you'd hear the click.
Yeah.
You'd stop and then the click of the rewind because it was
Yep.
tape, and he'd rewind and he'd play it again.
Yes.
So it was like, I was a little tortured by that song, to be quite honest. Although it's wonderful, right? And so now it's like, now I wish, just one more time he could torture me playing that song over and over and over and over and over again.
Yeah. Well,
and
that's hilarious.
I don't know how many young teenage boys were like obsessed with Phil Collins. I have no idea. He may have been the only one. I'm not sure, but
is he older? Is he slightly older than you?
No,
his younger brother.
I'm the oldest.
Okay.
So
okay.
he was 2 years younger.
Okay.
And he didn't. I believe that time period of when he was torturing me with the song was not the year it came out. It was a few years later, right? When he actually got, I believe he got the Phil Collins tapes at Christmas, 1 year, and then he played them till they ran out.
Well, that's amazing, because I probably would have tortured you if you or I were hanging out, because I too was rewinding and fast forward. I know I'm a couple years older than you. And so it's, just thinking about, I did the same thing. I can tell you exactly. In fact, when I was listening to it on Spotify today, I would hit rewind and listen to certain songs over and over again. And like, don't you lose my number, was one of them. And One More Night, of course, I had to listen on repeat. So I would have been right there with David rewinding tapes.
In fairness, Patricia, in total fairness, if he were here today, he would probably say she drove me insane with Madonna.
Yeah.
or some, I'm sure he'd have a list of like he could not listen to one more time because we all had our. And I remember my little pink boom box, and the whole thing. Yeah.
Oh, that's such a fun memory. And it's great that music and Phil Collins and that song in particular connected you to him, and how you're at a different stage now than you were 12 years. And I know 12 years seems like it's a long time, but it really is not. It's not a long time. I mean, having experienced my own loss of my father, loss and grieving is a, I don't even know I don't know when it ends, but it continues in different ways. I think it feels different. And yours was quite traumatic and tragic. And, he's very young. And, I imagine the grieving process, continues to be a challenge.
It does. And to your point with, there could just be a moment, or I hear something or I see something that reminds me of him. And I either get choked up or I smile. Right. Mm-hmm. But I think that the grieving process is different for everyone. Mm-hmm. And whatever amount of time that you need, take that space to honor that and deal with it how you need to deal with it. Not how somebody else tells you to deal with it, because they may deal with that in a different way. They go through that in a different way. I have friends who have had tragedies like this happen to me, and they became very angry. They were angry at the person that left.
Yeah. Yeah.
I felt guilty. It's just a different, we all go through those processes in different ways, and just to be okay with that.
Yes, yes. And I think you bring up such a great point about grief and how it shows up in different ways, and it's different for each individual. I also think how amazing it is that you can see so many things that you changed in your life, since that time, that grieving time, decisions that you made that you wouldn't have made had this trauma or this event happen in your life. And in positive psychology, we talk about this as post-traumatic growth. So,
Yeah.
traumas happen in life, with and the tragedy, what's going on with Russia and Ukraine, so many things, and looking at, what happens afterward. How do we pick up the pieces? Embracing where we are as far as the feeling is concerned, and understanding that all the feels are okay, no matter how you're feeling. Anger, sadness, avoidance, all of those things, right? But looking at where we put the pieces together afterward and how we can grow. And it sounds like you've done incredible work in that arena, Gina.
Thank you. The best thing you just said, though, is work. I mean, it does take work, and that's what I do with my clients. Again, I thank David, because I don't know, I would have gone in this direction, and coaching and opening up my own business. And I talk to women every day, and that we all have different struggles, right? We all have different
Yeah.
struggles, but it's just going through that process in our way that is
Yes.
healing to
Yes.
us. It looks very different. Yeah, it
Yeah.
looks very, very different.
And this is interesting because it brings us to the point of the show where we talk about the strengths, and the strengths that you have that may have contributed and helped you through this event, and through this and trauma. Uh, the VIA Strengths audience, if you haven't taken it, it's Values in Action, developed by Seligman and Peterson. It is 24 character strengths, and it ranks them. And your signature strengths are your top strengths, and those are who you are to your core. And now we have all 24 strengths, which we're going to touch on in a little bit. We have all 24 strengths, so we can lean into all 24 strengths at some point. But there are distinct signature strengths that we use most of the time, and Gina's going to share some of those with us, and then how she used those strengths and with this event, and then also where you are now. So, Gina, I actually have the strengths right in front of me, and I wanted to list them off, and then maybe you could tell us which ones you utilized during this time of grieving, early on, and then maybe a little bit on how you use it today. Your number one is kindness. Your number two strength is humor.
Mhm.
Three is gratitude. Four is social intelligence. Five is leadership. Then we've got honesty at six. Seven is spirituality. Eight at zest. Love of learning. Nine, curiosity at 10. So you have a beautiful package of strengths, and I have some little information about your top tops. But I'd love to hear how you felt that you use these throughout.
Oh, absolutely. Very interesting. And I really do encourage everyone to take this, because it was pretty spot on. Uh, Kindness being number one, it wasn't surprising. I definitely uh, spread kindness wherever I go. Even at the grocery food store, at the checkout line, I strike up conversations, because I think that I understand just how fragile life is,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know the last time I'm ever going to see somebody. So I try
Yeah.
to spread that, and humor. Anyone that knows me will say that makes sense.
Yes.
You know, uh, even when I was hurting, sometimes I try to laugh right through it. Right, that's kind of like my defense mechanism,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and gratitude. That I would have put gratitude at number one, because now anyway, but
Yeah.
because I have those skills now to understand that when you come from a place of gratitude and you're thankful for everything, even what you consider to be the bad events that happened in your life, it changes you from the inside.
Yeah.
From the inside, it rewires your brain. I start my day off with gratitude. I end my day with gratitude.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm a very spiritual person, and whatever it is that you believe in, that's great. For me, it's God, and it's for me thanking Him um, for each day,
Yeah.
and having that gratitude makes me a better person when I go out there in the world. I really feel like it does. I don't feel like I had a lot of gratitude prior to 2010. I
Mm.
thought I did, but I wasn't really practicing it. So
Yeah.
there's a thinking that you have something, but then actually practicing it on a daily basis, it takes work. It takes time. It's a habit, just like
Yes.
working out is a habit, or
Mm-hmm.
your food habits. They're all habits, and I actively practice the gratitude habit today.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's beautiful. And what's interesting about this is from Dr. Nemec's book on via character strengths interventions.
Mhm.
Um, uh, Associated with gratitude is also work as a calling, and you have so much to offer, and we've had these conversations on our walks, as far as helping others, and how you have done the work yourself, to get to where you are now emotionally, coming back from really tough loss after loss after loss, and looking at, for you, and our conversations, it sounds like, going into coaching and well-being, and helping others and helping women take better care of themselves has been a passion of yours. And it's interesting that gratitude, that's one of the components of gratitude. Research shows that it is associated with seeing work as a calling.
Absolutely. It absolutely, hands down, it has led me to it is my calling. This is what I want to do for the rest of my life.
Mm.
Um, it's something I focus on every day. I have true gratitude about it. There's so much to learn that I never stop learning in it too. And it's just that feeling of paying it forward,
Yeah.
paying it forward.
Yeah.
Uh,
And that's your kindness, and your kindness. I mean, I can see that kindness, I can see that in you. Just, an observation. Some of the first times I met you, just a beautiful smile, a reassuringness about you, and it's just authentic, and you're authentically who you are. And I think that that's so wonderful. One thing, about kindness, from Dr. Nemec's book, is that it's linked to optimism. Um,
mhm.
it's also linked to social connectedness. And what you were just saying, like when
Yes.
you're in the store and you're making eye contact with somebody, and there also is, positive psychology intervention. I don't know if it's intervention. It might be now, but it's about small talk. But there's positive emotions can be sparked from small talk, and making little conversations with people and acknowledging them. And how, because sometimes we go through life, and we're just trying to get from one thing to the next, and we don't really take the time to see who's that person in front of us, who's the cashier, and just stopping for that one moment to say, hi, how are you today?
Absolutely. And the people that did that to me, especially in those first couple of years, just somebody in passing that had no idea what I was going through, it made me happy for that entire day. I'm like, oh, somebody actually smiled, having no idea that I was in so much pain.
Yeah.
The saying, be kind always, you never know what somebody's going through, something like that.
Yeah.
Because you have no idea. And so I know how that made me feel. I know how it makes me feel when people are like that to me, complete strangers out in the world. We don't have enough of that. I don't know what happened. It kind of went away. Our
Yeah.
society has changed. And so when I see somebody else being that way to me, it's like, oh, this is wonderful. Like, you have no idea
Yeah.
how you brighten my day.
Yes.
And that's what
Yes.
I really practice that every single day.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. And it's interesting that that was a pivotal
mhm,
part that got you through that time
100%.
period, and just a warm smile
100%.
or somebody to just ask you how you are and acknowledging you and seeing you, you know?
Yeah. I mean, think about how you feel if somebody says, oh my gosh, I love your outfit, or I love your hair. And you're just like, you're almost shocked a little bit at first,
Right. Yes.
thank you. And you feel warm inside. It glows from the inside as
Yes.
you just pass that along to a couple people a day, you know,
Yes, I'm
think about that.
laughing. I'm laughing a little bit because, I am in Switzerland and the spoken language here is Swiss German, and I am studying German. But one thing I do miss, and I was just talking about it today, is small talk. And
Mhm.
I don't, even German and Swiss German are totally different. I'm learning German because Swiss German actually is not a written language. And it's almost feel I joke with somebody today. I'm like, it's like you guys have a secret code language and you're not letting me in on it, you know? And so I miss a small talk, but I've learned how to, I saw somebody's dog who's incidentally named Pitbull. And then he
Right.
says this Pitbull, Pitbull, like, and I was like, oh, it's Pitbull, and I was like, how are you? And it's just the cutest little puffy dog, does not look like a pit bull whatsoever. And but we were able to connect. I'm like, oh, like I know a couple words, so I was able to say, oh, it's like gross, like getting bigger,
So you
yeah.
connected.
But
You
we
connected,
connected, and
even though
it
you
goes
don't speak
beyond
the same language.
language.
Mhm.
Exactly. It goes beyond the physical or the words. It goes beyond the words. And it was a smile and it was an acknowledgement. And even just that, got onto the bus just laughing, because it was a fun, interaction.
Absolutely. Oh, I love that.
Yeah. Yes. So then you also have got social intelligence, and what's why I'm flagging this one is because actually social intelligence helps buffer against negative effects of stress and trauma. So
Uh-huh.
by having, that emotional intelligence that you have, that research shows that it helps buffer against trauma. And I imagine you leaned into social intelligence with connections with your daughter, with your friends, at that time.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Um, it- it's fun. I have friends who don't work out at all, which is funny. I tease them, right? But they say, why do you work out? Well, there's a ton of reasons why I work out. But one of the reasons going to a gym is that's my community. There's friends there, there's connection. It's not just the physical act of working out, right? Well, from teaching classes and having
Mhm.
that sense of community, right?
Yeah.
It's beyond
Yeah.
something physical, and it feeds my soul. It
Yes.
feeds my soul, and so yeah, that social
That's so great.
intelligence, I think that was a big buffer. Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. Do you have an action item that you'd like to give our audience today? And then I also need to know, like, our audience needs to know how to get a hold of you, to be able to get some coaching, and or to meet up with you. So let let's begin with an action item.
Okay. Yeah. You know what? As women, we're often spread really, really thin. And I understand that. And I would encourage you to a 30-day challenge, 30 days.
Okay, 30-day challenge,
Write
guys.
down one thing that you love every day for 30 days. You know what I love? I love sticky notes. You all laugh, but I got sticky
Oh
notes
yeah.
out the sticky notes. Okay. Uh, it could be sticky note, write
Yes.
one thing, stick it on the mirror in your bathroom. The next day it can be, sticky note and throw it in your purse, but just 30 days, write down one thing that you love. And
Yeah.
let me know how you
Love
feel
that
afterward.
idea.
It's
Yes.
it's
Yes. Let's do
empowering.
this.
It's
I love
empowering.
it. It'll be
Yeah.
interesting to see that mind shift at the end of, a 30 days to see,
Oh
and how
yeah.
it might change your day, especially if you do it first thing in the morning, how that might shift your, perspective on things.
Yeah.
So
If you
love
meet me
that.
in person, I probably have a sticky note in my pocket. You don't even know,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
in my purse.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it
Love
makes a
that.
big difference. It makes a big difference.
Yes.
It's only 30 days. We can do anything for 30 days.
Anything for 30 days, and it takes only a second. And I love that.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. How does our audience get a hold of you for coaching?
Okay. Well, they can head to my website, ginaperin.com. It's just my first and last name. I'm sure you'll have that up there.
I
Uh,
will.
you can email me directly from there. I get a lot of direct messages on social media. Just Gina Perin on Facebook, but Instagram is probably the bigger one, Gina_Perin. You can
Got
just
it.
find me by my first and last name. I do check them quite often, so you can reach me that way as well. And my website's
Super.
on the link in my Instagram bio as well.
Oh, great. That's great. And this audience will all be in the show notes, to get a hold
Great,
of Gina.
great.
And so, but I want to just say thank you so much for sharing your story today, sharing your amazing strengths and all of the work that you've done. I know our audience is inspired by you and your story. And congratulations to your daughter, and to you as mother of the bride. Uh, so very exciting times, and
Very, very,
a lot
yeah.
of silver linings, I guess you could say. So
Absolutely. A lot to be grateful for, especially you today. Thank you, Patricia. Thank you for
thank
having me
you.
on. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Well, this is the part of the show, where we get to talk about 80s trends. So, and we have, there are just so many. And given that we're around the same age, tell me, I know the answer, but tell the audience, what did you like to do on Saturday nights?
Oh, you would catch me at the roller rink. I was at the roller skating rink, right, with all my girlfriends. And gosh,
Yes.
what were these Z Cavarici pants? And when the slow dance came on, hope a boy would hold my hand and roller skate around.
Roller skate around. Yes.
I am
Yes.
45 now, and I still roller skate. So
Yes, we have that in common.
yes.
I didn't pack my ice skates to go to Switzerland, which would have actually been really
Huh.
useful. But I did pack my roller skates. And so, I have mine as well.
Yep.
And we share that love of the roller rink. And
Yeah.
goodness, I had some good times, and I love to
Oh,
roller skate.
great times.
Yeah.
I think everybody had a birthday party there. I mean,
Yeah.
there's just a lot of great, good times. Parents would just drop you off, have no idea.
Yes, and then we just
You're there for
roll
hours.
around. Yes, and the
Well,
arcades are always there, and yeah, such a good time, such a good
great
time.
time.
Love that you brought that up. All right, any favorite shows? Did you have any favorite shows in the 80s?
Oh my gosh. Well, I think you mentioned it in the beginning that I was raised on a farm.
Yes.
So we played outside quite a bit. I was
Oh,
the athletic. We didn't really watch TV too much.
yeah.
But you'll laugh. I love the Golden Girls.
Yes. Yes.
There's
Yes.
some reason I have no idea why I love that show.
Which
I
one
don't
are
know.
you? Which one do you resonate with?
Blanche Devereaux. So,
Yes.
or at least I wanted to be her when I get to her age, right? It's like,
Yes. I loved how she just owned all of her sexuality,
she owned it. She
and
was confident.
it was just wow,
Yes, yes,
love
love
that.
that, love that.
Love
Yeah.
that. That's so great. That's so great. And I understand you're a Madonna. You love Madonna music. She's one of your,
Share
yeah, yeah, the whole nine. And then Phil Collins only when you had to listen.
when I was tortured into it. Yes, I mean the '80s were just they were really really great.
Yeah.
And the bracelets and the
Oh, the jelly bracelets.
yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm kind of sad that I don't still have them. I wish I would have kept things, but you just don't think like that
Yeah.
when you're younger, I guess.
No, you don't think about it. You think this is not ever coming back, and then you see people wearing
Ever.
them. And then you see people wearing it, and it's like, how does that even happening?
How? Yeah, where'd you get that? Like Etsy or
Right.
something? I don't know. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll have to figure it out. But I wish I had some of my original stuff, especially the pants. I don't know if I could fit in them today, but I wish I had some of the cool pants.
Yes. Yeah, they had some amazing pants. Like I love my chick jeans, I had
Totally.
yeah, some
Totally.
with the pleats in the front. They were my
Oh,
favorite jeans, and they were
absolutely.
high-waisted. They were just,
High waisted with the pleats. That
yeah.
was the thing. Absolutely. I don't even
So,
know.
God, this is so fun. Well, Gina, honestly could talk to you all day long, and I just want to just one more time just to say, with gratitude, thank you for being on the show, and I look forward to connecting with you again soon. And yeah, until next time.
Thank you. Until next time. Bye,
Yeah.
Patricia.